I'm Ariana.
Hi, besties. I'm Dante.
And this is your Magnetic Bestie Podcast.
I'm so excited that we have finally made this happen.
I know it's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
It's been a very long time coming, and we knew this day was going to come to fruition. And I'm so glad this is a perfect example of how we manifested this exchange to happen and why we even decided to use the terminology Magnetic Besties. You guys want to know why we thought of that concept?
It's a cool name, isn't it? Has a lot of different meaning behind it, and we've been on a very long journey, and our biggest purpose that we're presenting is mindset and manifestation based upon the true biblical principles, living in a modern day world and being able to change one heart at a time to live your best authentic version of your life.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm so excited, because our hearts connected many years ago. We've shared lots of experiences together, and really, I'd say over the past year is when we have taken step by step a process and information from different courses, from different seminars, from different podcasts,
different mentors.
Yes, and we've been in all these different group chats, and we keep talking about try this, watch this, let's implement that. And this has just evolved into becoming Magnetic Besties. Would you like to give a little bit of information about who you are and why this is even interest to you?
Absolutely. I'm so excited because this journey that we've been on has started since the beginning of time, really. I mean, like growing up in such a conservative Christian household and being really holistically driven, I kind of deterred from that my whole life, right? Like I did, the saying, the classic story became the opposite of how my parents raised me. And I've been on this lifelong journey of kind of finding my own path, and I'm finally at an amazing place where my foundation is rooted in Christ, and I'm able to kind of look back on all the things that I went through to make me the best version of myself. That started off on a wellness journey that really led to me to understand what spiritual wellness is on top of that, So I'm just so excited to be able to integrate all the different holistic modalities that we've been practicing for over a decade, like breathwork, for instance, that has really changed my life, to be able to use that for myself, for my kids. I know you know my story, but like even all the struggles that I've been through, having kids out of wedlock at a young age, and going through that journey had really made me realize I want to do better for my kids. I want to make sure that I'm giving them the health that they deserve, and really starting to research that. Almost went to school to be a naturopath, and understanding alternative medicines led me on this spiritual journey of empowerment to really be the best version of myself. And it wasn't without valleys, girl, everything that I've been through. But it's been such an amazing journey to be able to go through the valleys and now really kind of be on top of the mountain, to be able to empower other like-minded women and people and magnetize the correct people in our lives to us, so that we can really share our testimony and our journey on how we have gone from really the depths of death and hell to an incredible life living on fire and purpose driven. That holistic practices are not just in the body, but mind and spirit as well too. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I definitely would.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And I want to speak a little bit about me and my journey too. So you know that I got pregnant in high school, I got married, and I had another son. I raised my children were never on antibiotics growing up, never on any kind of medication. I took so much pride in feeding them a certain way. We were part of church, we did Bible study, we did church every week, we did every group, and I was in a very toxic marriage. So on the outside, my ex-husband had a great career, our family was together, but and my children were thriving and healthy.
It's like the fairy tale.
But I was increasingly getting more and more sick. And I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian. I became obese, and my whole lifestyle changed overnight, even though I was still using the same modalities, the healthy eating, God-centered home, but emotionally, it was incapacitating me. But what do? A lot of times we put on this facade, and I prayed and I said, God, you will fix this. I know that something good is going to come out of this, right? So I stayed and I stayed and I stayed for 20 years.
Wow.
Thinking that something was going to change. What I didn't understand, and what I understand now, is something so different. And that is mindset. So yes, God is our source. God is our provider. He gives us all the tools, and we can read them, we can understand them, but it's the implementation aspect, and it's having a heart and a mind like God.
Absolutely.
So fast forward, I had struggled with depression, anxiety, suicidal tendencies, completely unhealthy, and I was raised in a household Christ-centered, healthy, and I didn't understand. And I didn't share this with people because I didn't want people to know what was going on with me. And I think a turning point for me was one day while I was sitting in one of my healer sessions, and I was just basically crying out to God and saying, is this ever gonna get better? Just doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, when is this gonna get better? And I think what I will never forget, and what was such a turning point for me, was her looking at me in my eyes and touching my hand and saying, this is the healer that I was working with.
Okay.
Or therapist. She said, you have worked harder than almost anybody I've ever met before.
Wow.
And you know what? This too will pass. And you will get through this, and you will be better, and you'll be stronger. And she gave me hope. And at that point, I made a decision, you know what? I want to help people the same way. And that's when my heart is to heal one heart at a time, because her love of healing and her love for me enabled me to get out of the space I was in and see a bigger picture. Even though I knew logically, but I was in so much pain emotionally, right? So what did I do? I decided to, okay, yes, I had a college degree. Yes, I've raised 2 kids, but I wanted to find other ways to not just volunteer at church, not just to volunteer at my kids' school, but to be able to help people in the same capacity.
Absolutely.
And that's when I went, got my certifications for body code, emotion code. This is why I started reading all these books and watching all of these programs to enable me to have a more broad understanding. Because my heart is for mind, body, and spirit. In the process, I was able to lose 80 pounds. In the process, I went through a very difficult divorce and had never taken care of myself financially. I had never been independent. I went from, as a teenager at my parents' house, to with my husband. And I created a whole different life for myself. And it was incredible. And it was utilizing the principles. It was leveraging the relationships, the knowledge, and the mindset, right? So the nutrition came with being able to eat a certain way, changing and shifting. I went from like a vegetarian lifestyle to focusing on protein. So that is to say that we learn as we grow, right? And what I love the most about us teaming up is that we have gone to different seminars, classes, weekends, all of these things, books that we've read, right? And we've spent thousands of hours collecting data. Absolutely. And those teachers, those authors, those speakers have spent sometimes 2-3 decades studying and researching. So we are in this amazing age right now where people who have dedicated their lives to learning a specific modality go and take it into bite-sized pieces and present it to us, right? But now we have, and we're not just specifically for nutrition.
Right.
We're not specifically for the spiritual side.
Right.
Or the mental side. We are complementing them together because our ultimate goal is alignment. So that we can help women be the best version of themselves. And it's not coming from an ego place. So what about our
What I think too, like when you're saying like the name Magnetic Besties is so powerful because everybody wants a best friend. Everybody wants to have that person that they're really connected to. And you know, like you meet somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've known that person my whole life. And we want to cultivate that type of community that we are attracting the right people to us because we've attracted each other into our lives. And the power of 2 is it's like the underdog story because 2 people together with a like-minded goal and purpose is powerful. Like, look how much we've been able to do to keep each other accountable in our friendship, in our life, personal, business, and all that kind of stuff just by having the same goals in mind, right? And I think being a magnet is very important, but it's very, you have to be very careful, because if you don't know where you're going, that magnet can attract all the wrong things in your life as well too. You know what I mean?
Oh, we're magnetizing always. And this is one of the principles I think that it's so imperative for Christians to understand.
Right.
A lot of people get very concerned about what they consider the law of attraction. But the reality is that we already know these are biblical truths and science-backed information. Just like gravity. You can tell me, I don't believe in gravity.
Right.
And I can say, no problem. Go ahead and jump off the roof and see if you don't believe in gravity.
Right.
It's science.
Yes.
We have something called polarity. We are magnets. We are magnets for whatever we're drawing into our life.
Right.
It could be for good, it could be for evil, but that's up to us to determine. And we have to get cognizant. So that's what this whole story is about for us. Because my whole goal is I want to take pain, and of course there's all of these cliche things, right?
Right.
Or think of the scripture, beauty for ashes, right? Pain into power, these types of things. But the reality is that it's true.
Right.
So if I can take and when I have gone back now and looked at how going through depression, anxiety, suffering in these different ways have enabled me to have a capacity to be able to console people who have gone through situations, to not judge situations. We are magnetic beings. There's polarity. This is why we're magnetic besties, because our goal and our desire is to enable you to see how you're going to magnetize the right people and situations into your life.
We are magnetic besties, and there's duality, two sides of every story, right? Black and white, good and evil, light and dark. And so we want to encourage you to realize that the magnet inside of your heart can be used to attract the right people, the right places, and the right abundance and blessings into your life. We want to thank you so much for joining your magnetic besties. So stay tuned so you can come back and join us for our next episode on duality.
And you don't want to miss it, because what we have in store is going to enable you to be a magnet too.
I love you so much. You're amazing. I'm so excited to come back and share with the world how we're going to dance.